what do you think needs to be turned on? Like imagine the body is like electric circuits, kind of like how you flip on a switch over there and it turns on these lights and whatever. What do you think has to be turned on to execute most arm balances?
Your core.
Who's it core? Okay. What else?
Your upper wrist. Your upper body.
Wrist. Your upper body. You're going like this. What does this mean?
Shoulder.
Yes. So it's helpful because when you say upper body, that's a lot of stuff, right? So we start to get a little more refined in our verbiage. And when we say wrists, that's a joint, not necessarily a muscle, but you're correct in that the wrist has to be activated. The core, I'm going to get to in a moment. What else? Hands. Joints, hands, yeah.
Your breath.
Breath, that's a good thing to turn on.
I would think your legs also, correct?
The legs, right?
Hips.
What?
If you're doing pro hips. Right?
Hips.
Your low back.
Oh, your mind.
The mind. So low back, maybe not the low back. Okay, so now we're starting to we've addressed all the primary players pretty much, and now we could kind of like reach and go. Well, my cat, like we're reaching there. One of the reasons that I hesitate with core, everybody says activate your core in a handstand. I think or a handstand or an arm balance, they'll say, you gotta engage your core. My core is not strong. Let me do sit-ups and I'm gonna engage my core. I know people in the forest yoga world who have done insane amounts of abdominals to the point, each forest yoga class, your abdominals are burning like crazy. And they still can't do handstand in the middle of the room. They can do it against the wall really good. So it's not necessary, there is a component, but when I tell you right now, everybody stand up. And I say to engage your core, what does that mean? Prepare for a punch. That's a good way, right? Right. You would go like this. That's a great analogy. Prepare for a punch, right? You would go like this, right? But that's not really what I want to do, right? In a handstand, I can't do that as in a handstand, right? And that's like almost like a crunch, right? Like, that's what we think of activating a core. Now, if you said like to activate your feet and squeeze your legs, and do you feel how your core kind of turns on when you activate your legs? Everything kind of pulls into the midline. That's a different thing. But that has to be cued like that. Because if I just say activate your core, I don't know what that means. As a yoga teacher, I don't know what that means. Because you could activate it in another way. Pull your belly into the spine. That activated your core too, right? But you could feel how the cue is decisive. It's clear, right? Okay. Let's have a seat. Extend your left arm out. Now grab a hold of your last two digits and just pull down. So this is going to warm up our wrists. Now grab a hold of the other two digits and pull them down. Now you can feel how one was going here and one's going here. Now here, you're going to take your arm and you're just going to pull this down like a gooseneck. Now I'm doing this primarily because we're going to spend a bit of time on our wrists. So now here, from this gooseneck, my hands are going to drape over, and I'm just going to pull up a little bit. and you should feel like a little stretch there. And now let's do the right. Switch. Now I don't have wrist issues, so a lot of times I don't really remember to do this stuff. But some people do. So it's not, it's smart to do it. And then grab and lift up. It smells like oregano. Is somebody wearing oregano?
Is that a real thing?
Yes.
Totally, yeah.
It is?
Yes.
Oregano oil?
Yeah. It's for antiviral stuff.
I put it in a capsule and take it.
Yeah.
But not-
It's you! It's leaking out! Okay, I'll do this like a prayer and push it out a little bit. And then lift it up. And push it down again. And lift it up. Now interlace the hands behind the back. Try and kiss the palms together and open up the chest. Okay, so I'm going to start from the very base crow and how I teach it in the basic class, and then we're going to move our way up to how it would be in an advanced class. Can I borrow the bolster, Sam? Thank you. So, first thing I'll do in a basic class is I want them to have 2 blocks and a bolster. Now we're all going to try this together. So I'm going to pretend like my hips are open. So I did a bunch of malasana. So I had malasana on the block maybe. I prepped it. Maybe we went side to side and we're doing this kind of stuff. So my hips are kind of nice and open. If it was a more advanced class, maybe like we did, we hopped around our hands, hopped around our hands, hopped around our hands. Something like that. Now, here. Now, the biggest fear with crow is that I face plant and I break my nose. So we're going to take that off the table. So the first thing I do is my hands are down and I go like this. So with the outside, my knees are going to hug the outside of my triceps, and my triceps are going to push out a little bit. Now, I want my fingers to be as wide and far from each other as they possibly can. Reason being, if I have my hands like this, I'm doing this for you guys in the back. Oh, maybe I'll go this way. So, why don't you guys come on this side so I don't have to. So here, if my hands are here, and I'm like this, trying to do crow, the width of my hand is, I don't know, 4 inches, 5 inches, whatever, right? And I'm trying to balance on this. It's like trying to balance on a tightrope. Now, if I take my hands and I kind of splay them out a little bit, and I bring this wide, I feel like I'm a different human being. I feel like I'm a different animal. Because now I'm spanning 7 inches, 6 inches, maybe 6 inches, right? As opposed to here. People they won't naturally do this though. But this feels way different. If I do handstand in the middle of the room, there's an incredible amount of little micro adjustments that go on in the hands that you will not be able to make here. So, first thing I teach them, hands are down, spread the fingers wide. I'll even tell them, bring the thumb and the pinky as far as you can away from each other, and then move the hands this way. Let's all try that. Put your left hand on the mat, on the floor. Spread the pinky and the thumb away from itself, and then manually do it. So do it with the right hand. Like pull the thumb out and pull the pinky out. Why? Now do it to the index finger and stretch it out. Get it really wide and long. So now they're as far out as they can. And now put your right hand down just normal. Feel the difference?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this thing is like a weird suction alien hand now. And this one is like...
But how do you get this one to do the same thing if you can't manipulate it? Because your hand's like
Use
this.
your feet.
Yeah. I tell people, I say now
Ask
do
your
it to the
partner.
other hand really quick, and you kind of get the idea. And then I say real quick, because the memory is still there, bring the hand back down. And it's still...
Alien hand stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you have good base. How can you support yourself on your hands, which is totally unnatural, when you have no base? This is not base. Okay? So first things first, I teach them that little thing, that little nugget of information. My knees are on the outside and hugging, and my elbows bend. We're all going to do this together. Now come to 50-50. 50% of the weight in the hands, 50 in the feet. Breathe deep. One more big breath. And come back down to Bakasana. So, that was hard, right? I mean, I could feel my body working. So don't feel like, you know, and you can tell your people this, hey, don't feel like you're like lame because you can't do this. And you can't do, I'm gonna give you stuff to push you, okay? So we're here, here. I tip forward, I squeeze towards the midline. Now lift the right leg. Just lift the toes off the mat, right. And now place that down, now lift the left leg. Now switch it. Very good, Vanita. Good, come back down. Could anybody not do that? Okay. Let's...
Take your socks off.
Okay, so I want you to try again. Can you very good. No. See, okay, so what she did was exactly what everybody does. They know, they think they know what crow looks like. And then they go like this. They go here and then they go, I'm going to jump. And I'm going to get there. So you have to tell them, this is not for you to jump into. This is a stepping stone to learn how to do it. Okay, and in a basic class, this is pretty easy. A lot of people won't be able to do the pose. Okay, so now we come forward. We raise the right leg. Then we switch it. We lift the left leg. And then when I mean leg, I mean foot. Just bring your foot off the floor. And now start to switch. Go for a walk. Where you start to go one and one. One and one. Right, one and one. Come back down. Big breath, okay? Rotate your wrists. So, but this is very challenging. Like I could make a Wednesday night Gita Vinyasa class, these drills, and you'll be sweating by the end of it. So don't feel like it's a cop out, and don't feel like it's not doing anything. After that, that's usually the intro, and I'll get everybody on board. And now I'll say, if we're moving on, we're going to try what I'm going to do, what I'm about to show. If you're not, and you don't feel comfortable doing what we're going to do next, you stay with what we were doing, alternating the feet, going for a walk. So the next part of it is everybody breaks out their bolster and put it in front of you. So remember how many people here got worried when I asked, you know, what's your biggest fear? Your fear is that you're gonna face plant on the ground and crack your nose. Okay, so watch what I do now. I bring the hands out, same way. I'm gonna shift forward and I'm gonna move beyond 50-50. 70-30, 80-20, I put my head and my feet get light. See, so now, I mean, my feet are light. Like I can start to move around, whatever. And then I come back down. I don't have to, I mean, don't do that. If there's a basic class, I'm going forward, I'm going here, I'm going, okay, now breathe. And then come back. Because what you're doing is, you're taking away the very thing that they're scared of. Their face on the ground. So you're going to put your head on the ground and your legs get light. Let's all play around with
It's
this.
the top of your head.
Yes.
Can I
When
ask
you're little.
something?
Yes.
Okay. Just because like when you do it, you automatically roll the shoulders down, right? And is that something that should be cued or mentioned
So,
for the support?
so what I want people to experience it first,
Okay,
and then I'm going to go into that little
Okay.
detail. Yeah.
sorry.
Spilling the candy in the lobby.
Man. So play around with it a little bit. A lot of people are very scared of crow. I've done so many privates on crow. People not wanting to take a yoga private to do private yoga lessons, but they want to learn how to do the pose. And, you know, I mean, maybe you see crow. I mean, let's say you take yoga from 3 times a week from different teachers. Maybe you see crow twice a month. I don't know. You know, that's my guess. But they want to learn it because they don't like doing yoga and being so scared of this pose, and they think they can't do it. I've seen people who definitely have the upper body strength to do it, but they don't know how to get around the face smash into the floor fear. This is how they do it. So for them, it's perfect because then they get the feeling of lightness. Oh, my feet are off the floor. I've been so scared. And now you start to do a seesaw. So because you don't want them to just do that because it's kind of like cheating. So here, I give the analogy of a seesaw where I start to tip back and I lift my head off the mat. Right? I'm so scared. Right? I'm trying to put myself in the person's shoes who's scared of crow, right? Because, but your head's there. So now what I want you to try is that seesaw action. So getting your head off the mat. Now, look, I know some of you can do it, and you're like, I don't need to do that, right? You're doing this because you're in school to be a yoga teacher. How to teach something. Right? So do this. So now we're going to take it. You can keep this here. This can also be considered like a crash pad. What the hell happened here?
That might have been my son at Kirtan eating.
Oh. That's insane.
He eats everything. He's seeing like bits of things.
Okay. So now you can work with crow a little bit with this here. So now when I tip forward, I have a little bit of a crash pad, right? I mean, listen, I could break my nose just as easily on this thing as I could on the floor. But nobody, I mean, I don't want to say nobody. If you fall, you turn your head. Like, it's just instant. And you don't let your head hit. You go like this. Your hands are still there. So it's an unrealistic fear. I've never seen anybody like gushing blood. I tell people to do this if they're scared, because I know that mentally, and I guess in reality, this is a helpful thing. So here they can practice lifting, right? and they can feel that. Okay, so we can work with that and or this. This is fun. I step on the blocks. So now I have my crash pad here. I'm perched. Now I put my knees in my armpits. Now this becomes a little bit more of the traditional pose. And this gives me a little bit more lift, the way the pose should look and feel. So my knees go in my armpits now, and I tip forward. Now here I can lift. Yeah. Now my big toes are going to touch and my heels go to my butt.
Why is it called crow?
It's actually called crane. Bakasana is not crow. It's crane, which is much more elegant looking. But so let's try that and try and prop, because look at what it's doing to my hips, right? It's propped me up where I'm much more like lifted like this rather than like sunken like the other one.
But that way, like on the blocks, it's really supposed to go on the forearm. You're not really squeezing it like this way, right?
You're in the armpits.
You're in the armpits.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the real way to do it.
Yes. And both feet are going to leave the floor at the same time, not one and then the other. Try it. Both feet leave the floor at the same time.
How do you not bend your arms at all?
Keep practicing.
At all?
Well, I mean, I guess there's some bend, but here, like, you come forward, and there's a slight bend right there, but then once I'm up, and I'm constantly like trying to like really straighten. Yeah, that's, yeah. It's a different feel. Like the pose is so different than this pose, but yet it gives you like the feeling. Okay, come back down, just stretch out your wrist. I'm gonna show one more thing, just for the advanced piece of this. This is, in the 300 we go over this more in depth, especially with the as we go into the advanced poses. But again, I leave room for how to teach it to a basic class.